Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more Legacy action. Today we are playing some Pinnacle Stompy. There's a few different names for this sort of rough wheelhouse of deck, whether you want to call it 8 cards, Patchwork Stompy or whatever. I think Pinnacle Stompy kind of is the best one because every version of it does play Pinnacle Emissary. And that's what I've sort of changed it to in my own notes. This is a list that won a challenge that was a little bit wild, so I thought I wanted to give it a go. It's running Broadside Bombardiers. So we know all the artifact plan, we've seen it before on the channel, so we're playing things like Pinnacle Emissary, we spam out a bunch of zeros like Mishra's Bauble, Urza's Bauble, Mox Opal, Lotus Petal, get a bunch of guys, that can become a Kappa Cannoneer, it can fuel our Thought Monitor style effects, can fuel Emry a little bit as well, Emry can then become a Howling Lion with Mishra's Bauble, we've seen all this before. But this particular list is including a Broadside Bombardiers. This is going to be able to fling this for a bunch of damage for just 1 mana. It's also going to be able to fling our Thought Monitors, which are probably going to be 1 mana, and then fling for a bunch, which is pretty cool. Our protective pieces are Chalice of the Void and Force of Will. We've got a few little silver bullets like Shadowspear, Lavaspur Boots, Pithing Needle that we can go grab with our Urza Saga. And we have Palantir of Orthanc. This is a card that you used to see a bit of play and then kind of fell out of style for a while. This is a 3 mana artifact. Beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on it and then scry 2. An opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you mill X cards with X's number of influence counters on it, and they lose life equal to the total mana value of the cards you mill over. So they can take pretty much lethal damage early doors. So this is kind of going to be a Howling Mine for us most of the time with scries attached. Not much else to say about this one. Obviously, we're in as a Saga deck, and the sideboard is just a bunch of sideboard cards. I think it's kind of interesting we have Tormod's Crypt here, rather than something like the Soul Guide Lantern. I imagine this is probably a nod to being able to hardcast this in graveyard matchups, because if you draw this, instead of chewing it with your Urza Saga, it's going to feel really awkward if you can't cast it through your own Chalice. So I think that's probably why we have the Crypt here. Haywire Mite, Aether Spellbomb. Aether Spellbomb in the sideboard rather than the main is kind of interesting, but nothing else here is particularly noteworthy. It's just the sort of cards you'd expect to see out of a deck like this one. And with that, let's just get right into it. Please remember to like and subscribe first, though. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2026, so if you can help me hit that target, that would be lovely. All right, let's get smashing some people up. The new year is here, and what better time to clear out your unwanted cards than now? My lovely sponsors 3for1 Trading are buying all Magic cards and collections of any size. They will quickly appraise your collection and give you a fast, non-binding ballpark figure so you know what you're working with right away. They buy collections from anywhere in the world. You can ship them cards, arrange a courier, and they even make in-person visits for large collections to offer full peace of mind. Click the link in the description or visit 3for1.gg/sell-COW to start unloading your unwanted cards today. Okay, what does our first hand do? I'll tell you what it doesn't do, and that's cast spells. I kind of want to be able to cast spells. I'm going to mulligan this one, something with some blue mana ideally. This is much better. We can keep this. How are we going to play this is the question. Play this out, make a couple of things. I guess we're not Chalice of the Voiding. We'll probably just put back the Bombardiers. We don't have red mana. Whether or not we have enough red mana to cast Bombardiers is going to be something I'm looking at in this league to see how it fares. A Flooded Strand and a pass. An Ancient Tomb. We could wait a turn and try and get multiple... I think we're just going to go Ancient Tomb into Chalice of the Void here. So the warp cost of Pinnacle Emissary is not a 1 mana spell. You're paying 1 mana for a 3 mana spell. So we're going to hold this for next turn and then see if we can have a more explosive turn with the Pinnacle Emissary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we can find like a Mox or something, I guess we find a Mox, we're not going to be able to find a Kappa Cannoneer. But we have a lot of options. They're surveilling over their Undercity Sewers. Pass a turn. Prismatic Vista plus Undercity Sewers. That's a little bit unusual. Is this Ninjas? Yeah, my Ninja sense is tingling here. Because Ninjas is the deck that runs Prismatic Vistas and is blue-black. Cool. Our opponent is a human being of great taste and panache. This is kind of awkward. I think we just start assembling some guys they can't ninja anything in. Let's warp this in. Make a Bauble. Yield to these triggers. Save ourselves a little bit of time and clicking. A Snuff Out. Okay, so we get one thing. This definitely is Ninjas. And then I'm going to take a look. Also on top of the library. Flood Strand. Hopefully they don't Orcish Bowmaster us. Can we get this draw without them Bowmastering us? We can. And we have an Urza Saga, which is a pretty big payoff. Generally speaking, the ninja decks don't run Wasteland. I would 100% block here. We can't allow them to get ninjutsu stuff going. And this is not even a whole card we're trading. Now, they're not trading a whole card because that thing cantrips. I think I'm just going to get the Emissary down. So if they flash something in, we at least have a chance of blocking. Let's get another Bauble in. The last Bauble was fine to draw from, so I assume this one is going to be as well. Petty Theft on the Chalice of the Void. Sure. Are they going to fatal push my Pinnacle Emissary now? We still get to redeploy the Chalice of the Void, and they're not playing a flash threat to attack us. So this is all gravy. Play the Urza Saga out to play around days. Have a look at the top card of the library. I think that's more important to get another card in our hand than it is to have slightly larger constructs, especially when we're just going to be making more constructs every single turn because we've got another Saga on the way. A Thought Monitor. 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts. So not quite online yet, but this is going to give us a nice second wave if our Urza Sagas don't get there. No play from our opponent. They can use this Brazen Borrower and then pick it up with a ninjutsu thing. But we can obviously block that. Petty Thefting our Urza Saga. You got it. We stifling. We are stifling. Okay. I guess that decides what we're playing this turn. Go Urza Saga. 1 artifact, 2 artifact. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can play everything out here, right? Let's see if I can do maths. And this comes down. This gives us Thought Monitor for 3 mana. Yes. We can probably... Okay, they've just had enough. I don't blame them. I'm pretty sure our opponent's on ninjas. How do we interact with the ninja deck? We probably remove some of their guys. You can stifle a ninjutsu trigger. You can't consign it because it's an activated ability, not a triggered. Do I want any of these things? The Haywire Mite for Retrofitter's Foundry could be important. Spellbomb could be important as well. So these are things I have some interest in. It doesn't feel like a matchup where the Force of Will is going to be that important. I can at least trim on that one. Palantir is pretty fine. Ball control for the Bombardiers looks pretty good. Shadowspear, if we get in some sort of racing situation, seems good. Are we trimming like one of these because they can sometimes be hard to leverage? That gets us the 2 dismembers, and now we have to decide how we would fit in these 2 if we want these 2. We're not getting... Let's move this Stink of Stupor into the lands. We're not getting rid of the Emry, because that's one of our engines. Same with the Pinnacle Emissary. Palantir is kind of like an engine. We could just get rid of this Force of Will and go and grab this 1 Aether Spellbomb, just so we have an answer for Murktide Regent, if it hits play. I'm okay with that. Everything else seems fine. A couple of Force of Wills. We don't need to go super high on them. What's our blue count like without as many forces in our deck? That's probably something I should have checked. What does this hand do? Nothing. Okay, I can mulligan a hand that doesn't do anything. Urza Saga. I don't believe our opponent plays Wasteland. They haven't been playing them in the ninja decks for a while. I guess we keep this and we probably end up getting rid of... Like these, the Emissary and the Thought Monitor are best of friends. The Bombardiers is good board control. But it's going to require us to go and get the Mox here. Maybe this is just not a hand where we get to do Pinnacle Emissary stuff. And put that back and we have a little bit of board control as an option. Like I see getting rid of Pithing Needle. But we do have to be aware that our opponent could still have Wastelands. I think we are still naming Wastelands. I don't think our opponent runs them. If that's the case, am I actually supposed to name this? We could name Engineered Explosives. That's definitely going to be in our opponent's sideboard. And that's a pretty big blowout. We could name Retrofitter's Foundry, but I don't think we care about Retrofitter's Foundry that much. It's going to be quite slow. I think I'm going to name the Engineered Explosives. If they turn out to be a deck with Wastelands, then so be it. We're going to save this in hand in case we draw something that makes us want it. We're going to play it next turn, so our Saga is going to be larger, so it's harder for them to interact with. Broadside Bombardiers and an Urza Saga. Do I want to get this Bauble down now? I think so. I don't know if I want to crack it, though. I think we're going to leave this in play and just make some big guys and see how they go. If we get Wastelanded here, then I'm going to feel very silly to have this Pithing Needle on Engineered Explosives. If our opponent has an Engineered Explosives in hand, they're going to be like amazed that we're some kind of savant. Yep, so we're not cracking the Bauble. We can make a 3/3 guy to block with this turn. They do get to put in a ninja this turn. We could have named any ninja with Pithing Needle as well because they're all activated abilities. Kaito is the other card that I like to name with this. But our opponent's not putting Kaito into play this turn. We can get a Mox this turn coming. So we can attack with the Bombardiers as well. We get to see what we draw first. We might not need to go and get the Mox Opal. Valley of Golgoth. Look at that wasteland our opponent has there. Huh. I guess they are a build with wastelands. Maybe I'm a little bit behind on my ninja technology these days. There is a ponder. So at least get a 3/3 here. But then our turns get pretty awkward if we don't get the tutor off of this. Regretting naming engineer explosives on this one. Obviously ninjas is quite a fringe deck. So it's not always easy to work out the correct names based on their build. Because I haven't played wastelands and ninjas for ages. We're getting dismembered, we're getting snuffed out. Sure. And then we're going to wasteland my Saga, I assume. The wasteland in the Ancient Tomb. That is interesting. This means that we do get to use our Urza Saga. And we get to tutor. So they're choosing to let us tutor but not have another construct. Okay, I will go and get this Mox Opal. I will deploy this. And I will play this Broadside Bombardiers, I guess. There you got a Force of Will. Alright. We are in not lots of trouble because our opponent's running a little bit low on resources. If we can convert some of this stuff in our hand, possibly into multiple bodies, that'd be good. This is going to be Big Daddy Murktide. Ethereal Forager. Okay, I don't necessarily know 100% what our opponent's doing. Maybe they're just not on ninjas. I just have real ninja vibes with Prismatic Vista and things. This creature enters. When this creature attacks, you may return an instant or sorcery card exile with it to its owner's hand. So you can get back all of these cards. That's pretty cool. It's like, what if Murktide Regent was weaker but drew you cards instead? A Mox Opal. We could go Mox Opal, play Pinnacle Emissary. And then we play the Mox Opal. We get a guy. Keep the untapped one. We go 1, 2, 3. Get the Broadside Bombardiers in. And we can attack with this. And then we can throw our Pinnacle Emissary at this Forager. Get a couple of damage in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're not quite at Thought Monitor levels yet. Our opponent is low on resources. We do have a really good board control piece in this Broadside Bombardiers. I can just take out this Bowmasters on the next turn cycle. We can't block, so there's no doing there. Mate, our opponent just isn't ninjas, and I misread what our opponent's deck is. Long goodbye. Goodbye, Orcish Bowmasters. You were really important, and now... Sorry, not Orcish Bowmasters. Broadside Bombardiers. Let's jam this Emry. This can't block, so it's attacking. Emry, biggest creature on the board, might be able to hold our opponent back. As funny as that is. We can go and get Palantir, but then our opponent just gets to jam us every turn with an Orcish Bowmaster ping. So I think we're more likely to want to get a Pinnacle Emissary. We don't have the mana to make that work. So we probably have to go and get Lotus Petal this turn, and then get the Pinnacle Emissary. Now the problem is, if we're tapping out with this, then they get to attack. If we don't tap out with this, we can just keep the board at parity, where they can't attack into us. I think that's probably what we have to do, because we're actually chipping away here. And maybe another Broadside Bombardiers just opens up the board for us. Okay, we have that covered, but this is a nice pickup for our opponent. A Kappa Cannoneer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can just play this Kappa Cannoneer. We do go pretty low to put this on the stack. 5 is not the biggest life total I've ever had. And they have a Force of Will. Understood. So we definitely can't tap with the Emry this turn. We need this to block an Orcish Bowmaster. We can just make it a Kappa Cannoneer next turn, but it's going to cost us Ancient Tomb life again. I think our opponent's done enough here. So they get in for 3 this turn. Next turn we can play the Emry, block 1, take 1, and then eventually lose to this Borrower. That's a pretty ugly card to have right now, isn't it? Let's go for this Emry. Some more. What do we have? Nothing of note. Nothing's going to save us out of this spot anyway. So we can block 2 and take 1. Any removal spell kills us here. And we're probably dead to the Baleful Strix next turn. Well, if we draw a 0-mana artifact... No, we can't warp this in from the graveyard, can we? We can only warp it in from hand. So getting another 1-1 blocker might be a challenging prospect. Now, if we'd have just named Wasteland instead of putting our opponent on ninjas, we would have been okay here. Oh, they're not attacking. They're going for like a big alpha swing next turn in theory. Chalice of the Void. Does that do anything here? No. So they jam this down this turn. They attack with everything. We block this, we block that, we take 2 and we die. We can't dismember because of our life total being too low. Because we either have to attack the Ancient Tomb or go Mox Opal, and then we don't have a blocker. I can draw some cards and die. I think our opponent has us here if they make the guy. I don't know why they wouldn't, but let's give them the opportunity to make that mistake. As soon as they put this Brazen Borrow on the stack, I'm going to scoop it up there. There it is. Okay, game 3. Our opponent's deck is not quite what I thought it was. Good to know. Am I happy with everything here? Do I want additional Force of Wills to fight over Orcish Bowmasters specifically? Ethereal Forager is definitely worth bouncing. No, I think we just go in as we are. This hand doesn't do anything. We have to mulligan. How do we navigate this one? We have to use a Lotus Petal to make this. And then we get one thing out of it. That doesn't seem very good. I think we have to mulligan again. This hand is really bad. Yeah, our deck not performing. Broadside Bombardier is a little bit clunky in the previous hand. 1, 2... Okay, if we keep this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep this, get rid of this, and I guess we get rid of this. This is a little bit on the sketchy side. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we draw any 0-drop, we make Kappa Cannoneer, and we can probably ride that to victory if it doesn't get counterspelled. Undersea Sewers, so we're not getting Thoughtseize. That's something at least. Force of Will being binned off. That probably means they have one already. Emry, Lurker for Loch. That is worth me casting for sure. It's probably worth a Force of Will if they've got one. We're very low on resources. Yep, here comes a Force. This opens the runway up for our Kappa Cannoneer, which our opponent won't be able to interact with once it's in play. And we can hopefully just... Oh, did they just pass through their turn? That's not the one you wanted, opponent. I'll certainly take it. So now we can play Broadside Bombardiers. I don't really want to throw anything. This gives us some board control. A Snuff Out. Maybe our opponent didn't pass a turn by accident. If they play a land this turn, though, it's quite possible they did. Brainstorm. They found a fetch land. Kappa Cannoneer, you are not what I requested. Well, you kind of are, but I requested the one in my hand enter play, not me have another one in my hand. But if we find a 0-drop, we can just keep spamming Kappa Cannoneer until our opponent dies. We're not under pressure yet. I suspect that's probably going to change this turn cycle. Plague Engineer. I'm going to name Thopter by any chance. Are they Thopters it makes? I can't remember. Constructs, Robot. I think they're robots. Drones, okay. I assume our opponent's correct on that one. 0-drop artifact, please. Deck, please. Okay. So they are colourless drone artifact tokens. Are we naming drone again? They are naming drone again. So there's no way we're going to get Pinnacle Emissary to do very much. Understood. Mishra's Bauble. I would like to play you. Kappa Cannoneer, it's your time to shine. This is what we've been building up to this whole game. Days is going to be horrible for us here. Okay, they had a Force of Will. Now we have another Kappa Cannoneer coming. The problem is our opponent is beating us down a little bit here. And Kappa Cannoneer might not be quick enough to get through. We need this a few turns earlier. It's going to put us to 8. This is going to put us to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will play this Sink into Stupor taps because this allows us to play a Pinnacle Emissary next turn, which can block one of these. Any drones that make will trigger the Kappa Cannoneer, even though they'll disappear immediately. We take 4 here. If we take 4 here, how bad is that for us? It's pretty bad. How bad is trading this off for a guy? That's also really bad. No, I think we need to believe that we're going to draw something to deal with the second one because we've got a bounce effect. Okay. See what you're drawing. Brainstorm's a good card. What are we drawing is the next question. A Mox Opal. So now we do have to trade off our Kappa Cannoneer. We can't get this into play without turning ourselves off of this or killing ourselves with the Ancient Tomb. If we'd have got a turn earlier with our Kappa Cannoneer, I think we'd have been okay. So here is our Mox Opal. Here's another Pinnacle Emissary. It's not actually very good though, is it? Brainstorm. Sure. Can't believe we have to trade our Kappa Cannoneer. We lose this. That's annoying, but we still have Metalcraft here. Our opponent's definitely playing some off-meta cards with like Plague Engineers, which I think this card is actually better than people think it is at the moment in Legacy. But like the Ethereal Forager and stuff as well. So we have to do this to survive, which I don't love very much. Now they can just play it again and crack into us next turn. Right, they're pondering in case they get a better threat. I suspect we're just going to see the Engineer come down again. There it is. Dismember not looking great for us. This was a mult of 5. And we nearly had it. We were like a turn too slow on our Kappa Cannoneers. Because we could have just hit them for 6 and then 7 and just won the game. I don't believe there's a way that we can cast this. Nope. I think our opponent's got this one. Yeah, we probably lose this one because we named Engineered Explosives off of our Pithing Needle in game 2. Our opponent was representing themselves as a different deck based on my knowledge of the format, and they were just playing their own little brew. So maybe we're supposed to just name the wasteland there. Interesting. Okay, on to round 2. What does our hand do? Very little. Let's mulligan. What does our hand do? It plays Emry. Okay, that is a plan. I will keep this. I think I'm going to bottom this Thought Monitor. Mox Opal. Mishra's Bauble. Lotus Petal. And let's try and get this Emry in, shall we? Is this the one you want to interact with the opponent? Or they might just not have any interaction. I will... this takes us off mana if we use this Bauble. That's an issue for us. I don't think we get to fire off the Bauble here. We can fire off next turn. And it's kind of the same deal, but we also get to make mana. Watery Grave. Oh, we got some Death Shadow action over there. Fatal Push. Cut down. Destroy target creature with total power and toughness 5 or less. That'll do. That's not going to kill a lot of creatures in Legacy, but it's going to be pretty good here. Urza's Bauble. This is the exact reason I dislike playing these like Bauble decks. Because what are we supposed to do here? Our hand doesn't do anything, but if we try and draw extra cards, we lose so much of our ability to cast something like a Kappa Cannoneer. I think we can afford to get rid of one Bauble and keep our Mox Opal going. We've kind of just got a hand that doesn't go anywhere now. We're a little bit all in on that Emry, which is definitely one of the things that I find playing these sorts of decks, is that you end up being very all in on one or two things. Okay, I will play this land. I will play this Chalice of the Void, X equals 1. This is also another artifact in play to make our Kappa Cannoneer more castable. I suspect this is going to be a thing our opponent does not want to resolve. Their deck is going to be very heavily 1 mana spells. Do I fight over this with Force of Will? Trying the luck. I think we do fight here. If this doesn't come in, we're a long way off of the Kappa Cannoneer anyway. Alright, we're getting a Force of Will out of our opponent's hand. Okay, it's our opponent's turn. They are also called Magic Turtle, and we were trying to resolve a Magic Turtle at some point in this game with Kappa Cannoneer. Opt and Consider. Interesting. Seat of the Synod. I will deploy this. This means we get to Bauble now because we have 3 artifacts. Flusterstorm. Is our opponent playing singletons? They didn't show us a companion. Disrupt. Flusterstorm. Is our opponent playing Divining Witch combo? Or like Tainted Pact, where you keep flipping cards until you reveal 2 cards with the same name. And they just don't have 2 cards of the same name in their deck, so they can just flip through and tutor and get their stuff going. Maybe. Let's get an Emry in. It's a card that we can cast. Get to mill some more stuff. So Kappa Cannoneer might be on the cards next turn. Let's have a Shadowspear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're 1 away from being able to bring back that Cannoneer. Playing against some spicy stuff today. Quick study. What even is that? Divination, but it's instant speed. Huh. Fair enough. Let's go for Chalice equals 1. Brainstorming, just getting out of the hand. I would like to get back a Bauble and get some more cards going. Chalice will also give us the mana to bring back a Kappa Cannoneer next turn. Let's get back to Bauble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So didn't have enough for the Thought Monitor this turn. See what you're drawing over there. Spell Snare. Good to know. Could have spell snared that Chalice of the Void on the stack. Maybe they've got other plans involving us being dead to a cool combo. Sunken Ruins. We're up to something over there. Hardcast Force of Will is an available option for our opponent. I would like Kappa Cannoneer, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got a big turtle. Is our opponent going to cast Tainted Pact and kill us? No. So they probably have a Thassa's Oracle win in their deck. That's my assumption here. Okay, we're going to cast this for 2. This is going to grow our Kappa Cannoneer and make things very difficult for our opponent. Alright, they're scooping. I think we have correctly identified what our opponent's doing. What are we supposed to do about that is the question. Disruptor Flute naming Thassa's Oracle is kind of interesting. That's a thing we're allowed to do. Tainted Pact is an instance. They can do that on their turn. Consigned to Memory does hit what they're doing. If that's their combo and that's how we want to fight them. Dismember, maybe they have a pivot plan with creatures. A bunch of options. How do I feel about our cards here? Pithing Needle doesn't seem the most useful. Shadowspear, they haven't really shown us power on their creatures, so we can just get rid of that one. I think the Broadside Bombardiers is definitely a weak part of this deck, if I'm being honest with you. Palantir is kind of a thing on its own. Okay, so what does this look like now? This gets us some Disruptor Flutes, and we get another card here. We get Dismember, because the first Chalice is still going on 1, I think. Do we want to have another Dismember in here? Do we want to have some Consigns in? Can we spare the space? Probably not, unless we start trimming some of our stuff. But I think just getting some pressure down is where we want to be. So our opponent's a singleton deck, so it's not the easiest for them to assemble the combat. They probably have 1 Tainted Pact, 1 Divining Witch, or they could have 2 Tainted Pacts. Because when you cast the first one, it's already been cast, so it's not in the pool of cards you can hit to stop Tainted Pact from working. But Divining Witch kind of works better because you activate Divining Witch, it finds you Thassa's Oracle. Then you activate Divining Witch, name a card that's not in your deck, and then it empties it. So you kind of get both things off of it. But Divining Witch is a 2-mana 1/1 that needs to survive a turn cycle, which is a big ask in Legacy. I've got Chalice. The Pinnacle Emissaries don't feel great here, but I like our disruptive elements. I think we can piece together a win a little bit later down the track if we can stop our opponent from doing some of the things they're up to. A Lavaspur Boots. Let's go for this Chalice of the Void. We have 1 blue source at present. Are we going to see a response to this Chalice in terms of just them getting a Brainstorm or something out of their hand, or are they going to try and interact with it using a Null? Okay. I don't think I want to use a Bauble yet. I want to try and get some value out of these Pinnacle Emissaries. Maybe we can draw a blue source here. We can go Pinnacle Emissary, Lotus Petal, Pinnacle Emissary, play out another little bit of stuff going on. Not what I wanted. I could go Pinnacle Emissary, play out some artifacts here. Okay, I think I'm willing to do that. Let's warp this in. A Bauble in. Let's get a Lavaspur Boots in. Let's equip the Lavaspur Boots to the Pinnacle Emissary. Let's also play this Disruptor Flute. I'm going to Thassa's Oracle. Because I don't know if they're doing Divining Witch or if they're doing... Alright, they're just Mind Break trapping it. Yeah? Be my guest opponent. I will bash you for 4 though. Force of Negation on top. Sorry, in their hand, not on top. Kappa Cannoneer. A blue source is pretty incredible for us. We did not find a blue source. I think we put this on 2. This shuts off our opponent's combo. This is probably going to require a Force of Negation from our opponent. It does cost us more life if we just assume this is going to get Force of Negation anyway. I don't think this is a matchup about our life total though. What do they pitch this? Stern Scalding. But we have pressure. Multi-region. Okay, our opponent has pressure. These can chump block, which is what they're going to be doing for the foreseeable future. Chalice of the Void. Can I afford to... We've got some turns. Let's just stop them from killing us with their combo. And now we get to chump block for 3 turns. And then we have to figure something out. Here comes the block. What's going on here? What are they doing in combat? Okay. Emry, Lurker of the Loch. Guess what we can't cast? I'm not going to tap an Ancient Tomb to give Lavaspur Boots to one of my drones. I think we made a mistake when we played the first Chalice for 2. We could have played it for 1 and saved ourselves 2 life. Drawing some cards with their Quick Study. Since we knew it was almost certainly going to get counterspelled anyway. But maybe they let the 1/1 mana through. Hard to say. We're very much getting to the stage where we desperately have to figure something out. If we can draw a blue source now... No, that's not a blue source. We don't have a Shadowspear. I did board it out because our opponent was just a combo deck. I said our life total wouldn't matter, and now here we are wanting a Shadowspear. Do we have an Aether Spellbomb in our sideboard, or is it in the main? It's in the sideboard. We're going to be dead before this pops anyway. We could have put the Lavaspur Boots on that guy, but they've got enough mana to blow it up if they want to anyway. If we had 2 more life to work with, we could take 1 hit from Murktide Regent, and maybe that ends up being really important. Brain Surge. How do we get through this? It's a conundrum. Wretched Banquet. Oh, I haven't seen this one for years. Destroy target creature if it has the least power or is tied for least power among creatures on the battlefield. Alright, opponent. Some cool stuff happened there. How much removal do we really need for their 1 Murktide Regent, though? Like, is Dismember where we want to be? Would I rather have this Shadowspear and Aether Spellbomb? Like, Dismember is good against the Thassa's Oracle combo. Maybe we just want a Spellbomb here? I will try like this. The Bombardiers can throw stuff at a Murktide if we can ever cast it and have the stuff going on. It just feels like the mana hasn't really been with us, this one. What does our hand do? Urza Saga Gaming. Right, I think we keep this and just start with a Chalice of the Void. X equals 1. And then we can... The problem is we don't get to do our Urza Saga beatdown very quickly. But I think shutting down, I don't know, like a third of our opponent's spells is a good place to be. They've gone to 5. Let's get Chalice in. So our opponent's not going to have a turn 1 play. They could have 1 Wasteland in their deck. Then we just start Urza Saga beatdown. Our opponent's deck is cool. Bit of a tricky one to navigate though. This is going to be Undercity Sewers, I would imagine. Snow Covered Swamp and back over to us. We don't need to crack the Bauble. Okay, we can play this artifact, which makes our Emry able to be cast here and also pumps our Saga that we're about to be getting. Pop our graveyard up here for us. Disruptor Flute, Pinnacle Emissary. Disruptor Flute is quite nice here actually. If the thing we're worried about is Thassa's Oracle. Okay, it doesn't matter. We're just going to be beating our opponent down hopefully. They need a couple of turns to try and beat us here. Not hitting lands there is a bit awkward for them. Let's make a friend. Let's make another friend. Let's just Lavaspur Boots and put our opponent dead on board. That says a Saga. Let's equip the sleeping one. This is an almighty smash of damage here. It was what, 13? Orcish Bowmasters. You got it. They can get under the bus. Don't think I'm popping this Bauble anytime soon. We're just going to make hasty constructs every turn. I say every turn for 2 turns. That should hopefully be enough. Leaving back the Orcish Bowmasters. Be my guest. Yep, they've had enough. We never got to see their combo, but I'm 99% sure they're playing Singletons so they can Tainted Pact or Divining Witch. Okay, we've got a win on the board. Let's go to round number 3. Round 3. What does this hand do? It's kind of slow. Like, this is not really a castable card. This doesn't have any juice to it. This is a turn 2 play. We don't do anything on turn 1. We're on the play though, so you could probably afford to just pass for the first turn. I don't really like this hand, but if we find another land, then we have multiple engine cards that can help us reach the sort of mid to late game. I think we play the Volcanic Island. I'm not going to play this on 0. That's obviously incredibly bad for our deck. Volcanic Island represents the most different decks we could be. So our opponent's going to be thinking Delver or Sneak and Show, that sort of ballpark. A Mishra's Bauble. This allows us to play around days. Can I have an Emry, please? Our opponent says no. Thundertrap Trainer. So this is probably like Jeskai Wizards. It could be the Grixis build that I've seen floating around. We're going to cash in our Bauble now before our opponent can get Orcish Bowmasters online. We also could do with finding another land, getting something like a Palantir down. We had an option this turn of playing the Pinnacle Emissary first and getting a 1-1. I think just guaranteeing that we're playing around days ends up being the smarter play most of the time. That's what I played towards. Now, they might have had a days. I just didn't want to use it. Okay, so Undercity Sewers. This might be the Grixis build. Or it could be... I don't think it's the Cloud Post deck. Let's play this Otawara. And I'm going to play... Do I want to warp this? Is it worth getting a 1-1 in play? Probably is fine to do that. We are playing the Chalice into a daze if we do that. But we have a bunch of stuff we want to try and get into play. So I think we go for Chalice for 1. Getting one little friend. This little friend gives us more for Thought Monitor and Kappa Cannoneer. Not sure how useful Thought Monitor is going to be if we're expecting some Orcish Bowmasters over there. They could just take out this drone right now. Right, we're on Grixis. Yep, here is the Bowmasters. Goodbye, drain token. Wasteland on our Seat of the Synod is actually really good here because this is worth 2 mana for the Thought Monitor. Not that I really want to cast the Thought Monitor. Are we getting Kaito'd? If our opponent works it out, there we go. Here is the Kaito. And they're leaving the Orcish Bowmaster in play. I like that. Losing a 1/1 token is fine. Making it so we can't draw any additional cards on our turn is real good. Now, if our opponent doesn't have interaction, tapping this down is not easy. Into play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could play Pinnacle Emissary and drop the Bauble. I don't really want Palantir because it just gives our opponent free Bowmaster triggers all the live long day. So let's make some little creature. A second Force of Will. I guess we hold this Bauble because maybe we can get some triggers out of it. I'm certainly feeling the fact that we're running things like Thought Monitors and we're not just low to the ground with Patchwork Automatons, which I think is the best build of this Pinnacle Stompy deck. Redirect Lightning, sweet. This card is cool. I haven't actually played on the channel yet, but it's a cool one. You can pay 5 life or 2 mana to redirect stuff. They took out our red source, so we can't hard cast Pinnacle Emissaries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't really want to have a Palantir in play when they have a Bowmasters, but it is an artifact that's going to help us cast Kappa Cannoneer next turn. So we're probably just going to... I don't know if they just let us draw extra cards or not. They're just going to bounce it. Ugh, they're going to let us draw extra cards, alright. Yikes. This is one of the reasons you don't see Palantir. Our opponent can just choose to make us draw a card, lose 2 life, get a couple of pings. So we go to 9... And then we go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So our opponent has us dead because of our Palantir here. So they're going to just be able to kill us right now. Yep, they're letting us draw the card. That's 100% correct. They just need to plus this Kaito. I don't think we're going to win this. Our opponent's going to know that their Kaito attacks us for 1 more damage. Yikes, that went horribly wrong for us. What do I want to be doing here? Removing some of their little guys could be quite an important thing to do. They're going to have Wasteland, so I don't mind having a Pithing Needle in. Get out of here, Palantir. You suck. Let's have a Dismember. And they're a relatively fair deck, so I'm going to go slightly down on Force of Wills, because I don't really want to be Force of Willing stuff through unless it's a Kappa Cannoneer. And do I want another thing for Kaito? Broadside Bombardiers can in theory attack Kaito. I'm going to try like this. I don't think our list is close to optimal. There's a lot of stuff in here that can feel amazing, like the Broadside Bombardiers and these Thought Monitors, but it just gives us more points of failure where we're just left with these things stranded in our hands. Whereas when we played the deck that won Eternal Weekend Europe, I think it was, which was a Pinnacle Stompy deck, we played it on the channel a few weeks back, or a few months back now, I guess, and that deck was just way more streamlined. The curve was just much lower. You have more hands that do something on turn 1, like whether it's the Pinnacle Emissary or the Patchwork Automaton, and then you just spam out your zeros. It was just a lot more redundant. But we'll see how this fares. We haven't really got to do the Broadside Bombardier stuff yet. How do we go about this one? So turn 1 Chalice and maybe do some Thought Monitor stuff. That seems reasonable. It's not very aggressive, but we get 2 bites of the Chalice cherry. Seat, Bauble, Mox, and a little Chalice action for you. There you go, opponent. And we're in with it. 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts. 5, 6, 7. So we get to cast the Thought Monitor next turn. Our opponent's probably going to be relieved that it's a Thought Monitor and not a Kappa Cannoneer. Alright, we're going to use this now before our opponent gets Orcish Bowmasters up and running. A Tamiyo. You got it. That's not a card our opponent particularly wants. They're going to fetch it away. Oh no, sorry. We saw the Tamiyo in hand, not Mishra's Bauble. It was Urza's Bauble. So they do still have that Tamiyo in hand. Not that we care. It's probably going to be a blue card for a Force of Will at some stage this game. Unless they can bounce us out of play and deploy it. Tamiyo, pretty darn good against the Pinnacle Emissary though, it must be said. We might be able to do Broadside Bombardier stuff. This gets flung for like 9 damage. Thundertrap Trainer, that is just a cute little otter friend. Fatal Push. Not great right now. Seat of the Synod. So you can deploy this. Is this Pinnacle Emissary time? It's probably Pinnacle Emissary time, isn't it? Should go red. Warp this in. Oh, what am I doing? We need to go blue to warp it in, don't we? Because we need the red for the Bombardiers. Nearly messed up horribly then. Let's warp this friend in. Let's play a Bauble. Yield this trigger. Cast this on 1 again. Actually, no, we don't want to cast on 1. We want the Broadside Bombardiers this time. We want to cast this on 0 and then throw it with Broadside Bombardiers. Come on, brain. Getting ahead of myself here. I'm going to cast this Broadside Bombardiers. We go to attacks. Attack creatures. We don't care about this creature being around. Do we care about this creature being around? If they got Flame of Anor, that's really annoying. Maybe we do just clean this one out with the Chalice. I could get one more drone here, or I could get this on 1 for next turn just for redundancy. I think that's better. Because if they're taking a Fatal Push, that might mean that they have an answer, something like a Flame of Anor, which could blow up our Chalice, and then free their Fatal Push for the following turn, and we just don't have to worry about that. We could have flung the Pinnacle Emissary at our opponent's face and had lethal this turn, but I think we have lethal this turn anyway. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, we do have exactly lethal already. If they tap out in a way that means that we can crack this Bauble safely, then I will. I just don't want them pinging our damage out. Thundertrap Trainer. They've already played a land this turn, so we're just going to pop this Bauble now. And Orcish Blowmasters. That was a really bad time to crack the Bauble, to be honest. They are dead on board. They can't cast any 1-drops. Null Rod isn't going to make it. We draw a card here. Just attack with the team. Just throw a Thought Monitor at you for 9. That's what we wanted to do with the deck. Just throw Thought Monitors at people. Okay, that looked pretty good for the old Broadside Bombardiers. Does that make up for the amount of times it hasn't looked good? That is a different question. I think we're okay with how we've got this sideboarded. Let's just go in. We can play an Urza Saga game with this hand, backed up by a Force of Will for something spooky. That is a reasonable way of playing Magic the Gathering. Wasteland won't be our best friend. Let's get this one in. I'll play out 1 Mox Opal here. I don't think we necessarily need to play out the Mox Opal. I was just testing to see if our opponent wanted to interact with it at all. Seems very unlikely they would. But if they spend anything on their turn to blow this up, maybe they think that we're going to rely on this to make our Urza Saga pop and do some work. We don't have a Pinnacle Emissary at present, and we're not running patches in our deck, so there's not as many pieces of synergy for the Mox Opal to keep in our hand. We're 100% playing out the following turn, I think, just to make it so that when our Urza Saga construct comes in, it's big enough. Alright, the Wasteland is worst case scenario. Now what? A Dismember. We can't get Metalcraft. 1 artifact, 2 artifact, 3, 4, okay. What is more important to us? Probably our coloured mana source. So we're going to just leave out this Ancient Tomb. I don't think we need to dismember this turn cycle. We can dismember next turn cycle. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're still not even going to be able to cast Thought Monitor if we want to. Yikes. We could always also just draw like a 0-drop. That would work. Okay, let's play out this Lotus Petal. Play out this Shadowspear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can play out a Thought Monitor here. But if they have an Orcish Bowmaster, that's really annoying. How do we play around that? I think we go float mana, play another Mox first. Thought Monitor is not a great Magic the Gathering card, I don't think. 1, 2. Oh, we don't have enough mana to pay. We do have enough mana to pay around it, right? So we just pay this here. And then if they have the Orcish Bowmaster, we can at least answer it at the cost of our Lotus Petal and Dismember and 4 life. This is a lot of work to do just to get a Divination. Okay, we've got a Brainstorm, so we're not getting Orcish Bowmaster. That's at least something we can enjoy. Shadowspear does have extra text in this matchup because you can remove the hexproof from Kaito, which is a big deal. I don't like them going to find another land. Have they got a spell here? It's a bad land. Red mana. Hydroblast? Red Blast? Yeah, same difference. Alright, we have nothing going on. Cool. Brainstorm, you got it, opponent. We need to not just fully F6 for your turn because we might need to dismember for some reason. Another Wasteland. I don't think we're going to have a good time here, team. Okay, the amount of good times we have might have just improved. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can I please Kappa? I don't think we can wait to draw a... I'm just going to get red blasted again. You got a second one? They do have a second one. Okay. Well, now we don't have anything, so we can fix our opponent's turn. 3 mana. It's a Barragoyf. Guess how big it is? 5/6. Guess what we have? A spell that doesn't kill it. And then our Force of Will has shown up at the wrong time. Do I want to hit this with anything? Is there any point? We can pay 4 life to stop our opponent drawing a card. That doesn't seem very useful to me. I think we're just going to get roasted by this Barragoyf. It's going to be bigger than any of the creatures we can muster. They get back a Thundertrap Trainer, which can be any spell in their deck, potentially. Okay, they got back Tamiyo. Sure, yeah. Just have the other busted creature in the Dimir sort of colour combo. Like these two creatures is basically what blue-black is at the moment. I think we need to use Force of Will to try and force something through. I'm pretty close to scooping this one up. Yeah, we lose our Ancient Tomb. Kappa Cannoneer. I think we're just dead here. I don't think we come back from this. Yeah, we definitely saw the awkwardness of playing some of these higher curve stuff in our deck, as well as, you know, just not having some colour stuff that we can slip through Red Blast and all sorts. Definitely looks a bit awkward. On to round 4. What does our opener do? We're getting jammed up with all these like stuff that isn't in the best build of this deck, and it's really causing us some trouble. Mulligan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a turn 2 Kappa. I guess that's got to be okay. Our deck feels very, very flimsy. I guess we play this. Actually, no, we're going to need an additional turn here, aren't we? We play this tapped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we need one more turn. So this is going to be a turn 3 Kappa. Bog up bog. I guess it didn't matter. Oh no, that's tapped. Maybe we draw a force. Did not draw a force. So we play this one out. We keep maximum cards in hand to make our opponent be more wary, but if they just send it here, we die. Now, there's a possibility our opponent is a deck that is running these lands that isn't Usul spells, but I think we all know what's actually happening here. Seat of the Synod. We don't get to play that one out yet, do we? Well, it makes this turned on, right? So this is 1, 2... No, it's still only taps for 1, right? 1 mana, 2 mana, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do need the Ancient Tomb here. We need to play both of these out first. Now our opponent's just going to know that they can go next turn. Or suspect we only have one piece of permission. Right, we're going to play a turn 3 big turtle creature. It's going to come in, become a 5/5. Then our opponent's going to mill their entire deck and kill us. And it's not going to matter. Now, thankfully, we have a bunch of tools for this. So we can just play all the blue cards. If by some miracle our opponent just doesn't have it here. Okay, so this one is untapped. That means they must have it this turn. I think they have a hand that sends it multiple times. Spirit Guide. Sure, we'll have a look at their version of the deck just in case there's anything weird or wonderful there. I suspect there isn't. We're looking at no... Oh, there is Pact of Negation there. Only one Pact of Negation. They've got 3 pacts in hand. Could be. No, we're 100% dead here. So let's go to the sideboard where we have a bunch of tools. So the aim of the game is to not lose this game. We don't need to win it, we just need to not lose it. So, Tormod's Crypt in. Haywire Mite in, because this can blow up Belcher. Disruptor Flutes. Consign to Memories. Force of Negations. That is 11 cards. We need to keep all of our blue cards in, so we're going to get rid of stuff that isn't blue. We don't really need Shadowspear here. Lavaspur Boots could buy us a turn. That can be relevant. If we're not getting rid of our blue cards, I guess we have to get rid of Bombardiers. Still need 6 more cuts to fit all this in. Let's just count our blue cards in a pile here. So that is 25. We're probably looking at trimming a couple of zeros since we're replacing them with the Tormod's Crypt anyway. So maybe like a Mox and a Bauble. Maybe we just can't afford to have the Lavaspur Boots in here. What are we putting Chalice on? That's the question. We can put on 0. I guess we put on 1, it stops their hand disruption. That's actually something pretty good. Can we afford to board in all these things? I think we probably have to. Kappa Cannoneer is a blue card, so I don't really want to get rid of that one. We're just trimming some more balls. That makes our Pinnacle Emissary much worse, but it is a blue card. That's a bit messy. Maybe we don't need the Haywire Mite if we're boarding the Disruptor Flutes. We can keep another Bauble. We only need to generate like 2 power on turn 1. It's fine. If we just have like a grizzly bear's worth of damage. 1 mana. 1, 2. We got some redraws. We got Consign to Memory. We got Force of Will. This hand doesn't lose the game immediately, which is what the game is about right now. Let's go Bauble. Bauble. Do I play these? Do I hold these or do I crack them? I think we crack them. Gives us more looks at additional interaction. Does mean that whether we draw is going to be Thought Seizable, but again we just have to kind of suck that up. Chalice of the Void, we can put that on 1 and stop Thought Seizes next turn. If they send it with Pact of Negation backup, they still win here because they can take out some of our bits and pieces, can't they? Cabal Therapy. Targeting us. Well, they're going to name Force of Will. Oops Spells is one of the best performing decks in Legacy right now. They name Force of Will, so we lose the Force of Will, but we have access to Consign. So they can still win here because they can sacrifice a token to Cabal Therapy and hit us. But next turn, we can play the Chalice. Why am I talking about next turn? We're not getting another turn. We could have Force of Will that Dark Ritual. Are you casting an Elvish Spirit Guide? Huh. Okay. Like, you're allowed to do that. I think this means we are going for the Chalice here. This shuts down Hand Disruption, gives us an artifact in play. We can consign through this because the replicated stuff don't get countered by the Chalice. So they can't Cabal Therapy us right now. Well, they can, but their creature dies and they don't get to resolve it because the Chalice trigger happens. They should have attacked us for 2 and didn't. We can't cast this. 1, 2, 3 mana. These Thought Monitors are real bad. I don't know if this is still a Legacy playable card, if I'm being honest with you. Doesn't feel up to scratch. Are you going to send in your creature? You going to remember to attack this time? No, they're not attacking. That's so weird. I guess we put another one of these on 1 mana. We can put it on 0. That's quite a sketchy thing to do given the nature of our deck. We did board out a bunch of 0s. Alright, let's do this. And maybe we can just get there with our Thought Monitors. I don't know why our opponent isn't attacking us. This is going to shut down a bunch of our cards. I don't want our opponent says we've shut down our Pithing Needle and Consign. I don't want them to know that we can still consign through our Chalice because they might make a mistake with it, which is our game plan at this point. Okay, now they're attacking. There's a Saga. That's a-okay with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still nowhere near doing this thing we need to do, but we've got a threat that's basically a flash threat, so we are odds on to win this one. Swing in. No. Don't know why they're not attacking every turn. As a Saga happens, I don't really want Emry, I just want to make Saga constructs. Also give us more affinity so we won't be able to get some Thought Monitors in. Pad our hand out a little bit. But we also get to keep up Consign. We can replicate twice. I want our opponent to just play into this Consign that they think we've shut off with Chalice. They can't disrupt our hand, so we can just wait for them to put their combo on the stack. Alright, they're not going for it here. They also have this Dread Return in hand. I don't know how they're supposed to get that out of their hand. Bit of a mystery to me. Wear down. If I make a construct, we can't replicate. So we just have to float and let this go. What's the gift we get? We get a card. Okay, that's something. Another stinky Thought Monitor. Yuck. We should attack this time. Why won't they attack me? Very strange. They took the one on 0. That actually helps us out a little bit. How much does this cost? We can't afford to just let them combo us. And they're not attacking us for some reason. We're just going to pitch one of these many rubbish Thought Monitors we have. It could maybe... I don't know if Lively Dirge hits my graveyard as well. That's the reanimate spell they might have access to. Undercity Informer. Sure. Please try and combo off. That's all I want you to do. What a strange game. It's because Oops Spells doesn't really play normal Magic, so most of the games versus are weird. We could make an Emry here, but that doesn't really help us out as much. I think we're just going to hold up this Consign this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still know where we need to be. I want our opponent to go for it and get blown out. But they're probably just going to attack us. Well, they've been very weird about attacking and not attacking. Like we should be on like 4 life less already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're not quite there, but we can make an Emry. Still hold up this Consign with double... Yeah, you get Consign with double kicker. Or replicate, whatever you want to call it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can make a Kappa Cannoneer next turn, but that comes at a little bit of a cost. I think the play is next turn to just play some baubles, get a bauble out, and then maybe we can start thought monitoring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're going to attack us down, slowly turn our Ancient Tomb off. Maybe I'm more worried about them comboing than I have to be. It's another Informer, yep. A Mox is a pretty good draw here. If we do the Pinnacle Emissary, that seems good. Let's get this one down. Play this. We get another token here. How much does this cost now? 3 mana. We can get back a Bauble and make it cost 2 mana and then 1 mana. Actually, no, it would just cost 1 and 1 because we're going to get the Pinnacle Emissary trigger, right? So we can just dominate the board now. So this is blue. We can play this Tormod's Crypt out. And play this Thought Monitor. Sure, I will have some more little tokens. These can't block their creatures, but my Thought Monitors certainly can. I'll play this other Lotus Petal. Get some more tokens going. Play this as a Saga. Now we can replicate quite a bit here if we need to. So Pinnacle Emissary goes away, but we can block 1 and block another one. We take 2, and they're like a million miles behind now. Maybe they try and go for the combo now and get blown out by Consign still working through our Chalice. But you still get value off this Pithing Needle just by casting it whilst having a Pinnacle Emissary in play. They can force 2 damage through here. How much damage do we have? 2, 4, 6, plus 8. That's not lethal. No attacks from our opponent. That's what we like to see. So all of these are going to come in. I don't really want to... Yeah, I think I just want to make this Pinnacle Emissary rather than as a Saga stuff. Let's get this in. We'll go back a Thought Monitor, just give us more cards. Have enough Force of Wills to get through. Sure, I can play this land. I could play this Pithing Needle just to get a token. We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if I play this Pithing Needle, that's actually good enough. Yeah, we get the Pinnacle Emissary trigger. This just means that we can afford to block with more of our guys. And then I will see the top card of their library. It's a Jack-O-Lantern. That's probably not going to be good enough to get our opponent where they need to go. We've got double Force of Will or Force of Will plus Consign. If we draw a blue card, we can do all of those things. They're targeting themselves. Oh, sorry, they're targeting us. Huh. I think they're going to be able to mill us out from here. Okay. Okay, so we have 2 forces and a Consign with all the replicating we could ever need. So if they play a... Well, basically anything, we just counter it here, right? They can't hand disrupt us. Alright, we got there. Let's consider the sideboard. Yeah, seems fine. I don't think we have to worry about their fair plan. Just go again. What am I doing here? Force of Will is good. Consign is good. Chalice is good. We'll keep this one. If they've got turn 1 protected with 7 cards, then we lose. That's the nature of Ritual Spells. That's why it's one of the very best decks in Legacy right now. A Cabal Therapy. Here we go. Right, we're not dead on turn 1. I love it when that happens. Okay, I think we're going to play out some stuff here. Okay, our Bauble is resolved. We can deploy Petal to give us more Consign to Memory kicks. And I think I will Bauble here to try and get like a Force of Will or something. Okay, Thassa's Oracle is what they're about to draw. They don't really want to draw the Oracle. Okay, we did draw a Force, so I'm very glad about that. Next turn we can Thought Monitor. Sorry, we can Chalice of the Void holding up a single Consign to Memory. This means they're not going to be Thought Seizing this Consign to Memory out of our hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we could just play a Thought Monitor next turn. The Thassa's Oracle being our opponent's hand and us having a Chalice of the Void where X equals 1 is a weird one. It means our opponent needs to get to cast this from hand. That's kind of odd. This Force is not as good as Force of Will. Okay, we don't need to deploy anything here. We can just play the Urza Saga game, holding up all our interaction. Okay. Wear down. I do not want to be worn down. The Urza Saga can get us a Tormod's Crypt. Well, the Tormod's Crypt doesn't matter when they have the Thassa's Oracle in hand. So I wonder if we're supposed to get something else off of that. We'll work it out in a bit, I'm sure. Here comes the Bauble. What have you got over there, opponent, for next turn? Another wear down. I'd rather you didn't have that, but at least we get a guy off of our Saga. That's something. We've got a win condition. We can maybe get this one before then. Our opponent's Thassa's Oracle, we can hit the trigger, but they're going to be able to Cabal Therapy us and then maybe cast this. Or if they have to Cabal Therapy themselves, things can get awkward. I don't know how many therapies they're going to have. Here comes the wear down. Right, we've got our little construct in. We drew a big turtle. No other plays for our opponent. Force of Will is a good one. That makes me not want to deploy the turtle. The turtle does clock very quickly though. Alright, let's just play this and get in for 3. I think holding up Force of Will and Consign against the dedicated combo deck is probably the best situation for us. Thoughtseize targeting us. Sure, I don't think we have any interaction here. We can fire off this Force of Will, but I don't think that's worth doing. They took the Force, not really a surprise. We can consign through this Thassa's Oracle if they don't remove it. Our consign first. Poxwalkers. That does not enter tapped unless it comes from the graveyard, so that will be able to block this turn. If they want to, they can also... If they go to Cabal Therapy us, we can consign that, which is kind of cool. Mox Opal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just get the turtle in. And then we can play this Mox Opal to give it a counter. Let's see if they block here first. I would like to be able to replicate our consigned memory at least once. I will be playing this Mox Opal regardless, even though having unblockability on the guy is really important too. I just think having the mana up this turn is really important. Possibly clutch to making it so we don't die. I probably don't replicate the consign if we're just hitting a Poxwalker's trigger off of like a Cabal Therapy. But if we're hitting anything else, we probably do want to, because it's going to come in tapped anyway, and we have lethal damage. A Cabal Therapy targeting us. Cast Cabal Therapy targeting Cyrus Bales. That's me, isn't it? Let's cast this. Do I want to replicate this right now? They know what the last card is. Okay, I'm going to burn my Petal here. We still have lethal damage. Don't want them having their Poxwalkers back. But they just have a free run here if they can assemble the combo. They're going to name You're Already Dead. Hopefully they needed this card to come back. They named Name Sticker Goblin, which is also in the top of the list of options. So they need to be able to... Oh wow, nothing. Can we just kill our opponent, please? GG is in chat. We could have played this to pump our guy, but they're not going to have any threats that hit it. Our opponent was also a thoroughly lovely person. I know Oops for Spells has a bit of a reputation, but it's a very good example of you hate the game, not the player, right? I dislike Oops for Spells a great deal, but some of the people who play the deck are genuinely really lovely people too. Not all of them, but some of them. Most Magic players are pretty decent. Anyway, we managed to get a win on the board. So we are now 2-2. We're having to battle for every single thing. Every single one has gone to 3 games. Let's go to the final and see if we can get ourselves a positive record. We've got a turn 1 Emry. Our opponent is known for playing Sneak and Show decks. Our hand doesn't seem great into that. But I think just having an engine card, getting extra card draws and stuff that Emry can provide is worth it. Thundering Falls. So we go Seat, Mox. If we want to get greedy here, we can play the Shadowspear out. This turns this on, which then plays the Emry. I think that's worth doing. Our opponent's not going to counter a Shadowspear. Certainly not when their plan is to put Emrakles into play. Ooh, okay, we've got an Omniscience out their hand, pitch that Force of Will. That's good news. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I could just play this Thought Monitor. Is that better than getting an Emry in play? I think it probably is. We get to do both actually, right? It's even better. Because I forget this one taps for an extra one, doesn't it? And then we get the Emry in. And then we crack this Bauble and pray that we find a blue card. Sorry, a Force of Will. Flusterstorm, okay. So they're just going to be able to fluster whatever our counterspell is. Less than useful for us. We can't Chalice if we find it to stop Flusterstorm because all the copies still go on, just like how Consigned to Memory works, because copies don't get hit by the Chalice. We did find the Force we wanted, so if our opponent taps out here, but if they just go Ancient Tomb, slam it with Flusterstorm backup, then we are very much in the dirt. Alright, they're going for it here. Yggdrasil. We got in our graveyard. This is such a like a medium card. I think this is fine. We can bounce it with Sink into Stupor. I think we need to hold up enough mana to pop this. I think that means we're going for Chalice of the Void, Chalice for 1 off of this Ancient Tomb. This is going to stop brainstorms and whatnot. And then if we want to play around days, we'd probably want to play out our Ancient Tomb here. So I can tap this. Okay, sneak attack, show and tell, but not a monster. Good news. I don't believe our opponent's necessarily going to have a daze anyway, because they kind of need to put a lot of lands down to get things like sneak attack to work. So it's much better for them to play counters like Flusterstorm instead of daze. We know they have a Flusterstorm. What is our solution for them Flusterstorming in here? Like whatever we play here is going to fail, right? They have 2 cards in hand. One of them is Flusterstorm, one of them is something else. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can't hardcast this. I guess we let this in. If it's Omniscience, it doesn't matter. We can bounce it. It's an Omniscience. Okay. So we know they have Flusterstorm, but we can do this on our turn and bounce this. But then we do also have this Yggdrasil that we need to worry about. We're not in a great position. This game could go either way, though. We need a blue card there, deck. So this is get back the Bauble, play the Bauble, target ourselves, see if we can draw a blue card. Are we drawing a blue card? We need that information. Urza's Bauble. Okay, so we're not drawing a blue card. That is bad. That's real bad. Do we have enough mana to do everything here? 1, 2... So 3 mana here. And then... So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which is enough. We need 4 blue, 4 blue. So we have that. So we can bounce this in the end step if we need to. And then hardcast a Force of Will. We've played a spell, so the Flusterstorm is pretty good for our opponent. They're going to activate this Yggdrasil in the end step. We're going to see what it reveals, and then we can make some decisions. There is no monster underneath that. So does that mean we are bouncing this, or do we want to just try and counterspell the first thing they cast? How many Flusterstorms will they get? They'll cast a spell, we'll cast a spell, 2 spells on 2 Storm. We can pay for that. So maybe we just hardcast the Force of Will into this Omniscience. If they draw exactly Emrakul, then we're dead. If we don't bounce the Omniscience. They don't know what's on top of the library. They are drawing blind. Okay. We really need Pithing Needle here. Not that we can cast it through our Chalice. Doesn't look like they drew what they wanted. Another Force of Will. Okay, that does make things a little bit easier for us. So first things first, I will go Sink into Stupor this Yggdrasil. Am we taking pain for this? And now I could play out this Pinnacle Emissary and get some more damage going. I think that's probably our best route. So we cast this for 1 blue, red. And then we can play out this Bauble. Get some more damages available to us. Play out this Mox so we have more mana available to pay for what they got going on. And we got some good damage here. So this is 2 damage. We put our opponent to 12, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So equipping this doesn't actually make a difference this turn. Let's see what they have in their hand. We know most of the cards over there. Okay. We knew that one. So we have Force of Will and the ability to pay for 3 Flusterstorm triggers. Pithing Needle is an awkward draw, truth be told, with this Chalice of the Void sat around. Oh, are you kidding me, opponent? We can survive an Emrakul hit. So by bouncing the Yggdrasil and not the Omniscience, we did open ourselves up to this line. But this was eventually guaranteed to hit a monster, whereas them drawing randomly isn't. Ponder into the Chalice. This is to enable their Flusterstorm, I would assume. Yggdrasil. Do I even care about the Yggdrasil at this point? No. So we're going to be losing our Chalice, I suspect. Many of our permanents are going to die. No creature underneath that. That's fine by me. This can't attack this turn. Oh wait, they get another turn, of course, don't they? Yeah. Just that little chestnut. Alright. We're going to lose some stuff here. 6 is so many, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And are we getting rid of the other Ancient Tomb? One of my little flying blockers. So we can keep them at bay. Every time we cast a thing, we're going to have a blocker for this. And there's just going to be a case of, does the Yggdrasil kill us? Hopefully not, because the Pithing Needle, which Flusterstorm can't counterspell. And we know that's the only card in their hand. So weirdly, I think we are not totally fine here. This is not going to work because of the Omniscience. Okay. Step 1, we play this. We get a token, we name Yggdrasil, if I can work out how to spell it. YGGDR. Can't be many cards that start with that. There's an attractor over there. Get rid of that. We can play something else here from our graveyard. What do we want? Probably more cards is not a bad place to be. Alternatively, more permanents is also fine. So we go to attacks. 1, 2, 3. So we get 6 damage in here. That's half our opponent's life total. I think we just need to keep maximum permanents in play. I'm not going to bounce the Emrakul and let them recast it. They could just go into a big stock-up chain and do a million things here. And their Flusterstorm will protect them. Brainstorm is really good. But we can win this game still. This has been a really interesting way that we've had to use our resources. Like I would have liked to have bounced the Omniscience, obviously. But we didn't really get that luxury. Okay, our opponent's just popping off with stock-ups now. All their spells are free, so our Force of Will do nothing. We need our opponent to not hit well here. Stock-up into stock-up is usually going to be good enough. We need to have something here. That's a pretty good something, isn't it? Again, there's no point us countering anything. So they can go and get another Atraxa, they can get another Emrakul. I don't think we get through this. I think our opponent's done just about enough here. I'm not going to make him click through it. I think that's a good enough pile. Because they can attack with Emrakul, make us lose a bunch of permanents, then they attack with Emrakul again. That was a really close one though. Interesting. Disruptor Flute and Force of Negations seem pretty decent here. Hydroblast definitely has some useful text I wouldn't mind leaning upon somewhat. The Aether Spellbomb and the Haywire Mite also feel good. I do not need to Shadowspear or Lavaspur Boots our opponent, I don't believe. Palantir is kind of whatever. This isn't really a good matchup for Broadside Bombardiers. Like, maybe being able to clock our opponent quick can look good, but having this clunky 3-mana spell is probably not the best. They've got Yggdrasil, so I definitely want to keep this Pithing Needle in. Palantir is probably where we're looking at weak cards. We don't want to cut blue stuff if we're boarding in... Oh, sorry, if we're relying on our counter magic here. So we boarded in some Force of Negations, I believe. It's just put them into a different place in the deck. So maybe we're just looking at cutting like some baubles. And we'll give this a whirl. Force of Will is nice, but the rest of this hand is pretty bad. I think we have to mulligan this. Force of Negation. We can work towards Kappa Cannoneer. We also have something that can answer... We can answer a bunch of things with this hand. We'll keep this. Maybe... Oh, having to put one of these back is really frustrating. 1, 2... Sorry, 1, 2... I think it's a Kappa Cannoneer because the Thought Monitor... Our artifact mana counts as 2 for the purposes of that. So I think that's where I'm going with this. I quite like our opponent's chances in this matchup. Right, they are just F6'd over there. Let's get this Aether Spellbomb in. So we have a Hydroblast and Force of Negation. Hydroblast can hit their Pyroblast, which they're probably bringing in against our mono blue deck. No Ponder or anything here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. 6 mana. We're close. Do I need a redraw or not off of this Bauble? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're so close to being able to cast a Thought Monitor, I think we're going to hold the Bauble. And we do actually have permission in hand. They like the card on top with their Surveil land. Scalding Tarn. A defense grid. Interesting. I suspect we can pay through it maybe. I hate this. Our opponent is so well equipped to deal with what we're trying to do here. A Chalice for 1. It's not nothing. This will give us Thought Monitor next turn. Not that we can draw into anything particularly useful. We need our opponent to not try and combo off right now. Show and tell. Okay. We get a Thought Monitor and they get an Atraxa. We can bounce the Atraxa out of play, but they are going to get a big reload. We're going to get a medium reload. Okay, a bunch of different choices. That Sneak Attack is a little bit spooky. Okay, they chose Sneak Attack, Atraxa, Stock Up, Lotus Petal that they're already playing, Scalding Tarn, so they're not taking this one. Consign to memory, so no brainstorm. They took stock up. They didn't take omniscience. They took the Atraxa, not the brazen borrower. So these are the things they have. It's a lot of things. So many things. Right, I don't think we need this in play anymore, so we can take a card. We can bounce this out of play. How are we going to beat this? Good question. Oh, that's a great answer for sneak attack. They have a consign to memory, though. How do we get that one through what our opponent's up to? That does seem tricky. Let's return this to their hand. I think that's a good step one. Does mean they get 2 more Atraxa activators if we can't squeeze in this Disruptor Flute. Okay, can our Emry do anything here? Make him tap out, make him do something. It's just this consign is going to beat our Disruptor Flute handily. Right, here is the Scalding Tarn being cracked. Maybe that's our window to go, but I don't think so. Green mana. We cast this into their consign. They consign this. That's less mana they have to deal with our... To put some sneak attacks in, at least. Oh, they just had a force, did they? They have 14 damage. So not 14 damage, because they only get to attack with one of these, don't they? But our opponent gets to see 14 cards looking for an Emrakul here if they want it. They don't even want to stock up. Like, we knew we were losing to consign, but we thought maybe we could tax them out of some stuff here. So they put in the Atraxa. The Atraxa finds them an Emrakul, and we scoop it up. No Emrakul, but another Atraxa. And then we get to see what the next thing is. Because they've got 2 more red pips available, so they can just chuck in an Atraxa here. I think it's worth doing. If they find the Emrakul, they just win the game. Like, I think they win the game regardless, to be honest with you. We are quite far behind. There is an Emrakul, and that is going to take all of our permanents. Alright, we got pretty handily crushed by the Omnitail deck there. That leaves us with a record of 2 and 3. There was only one game that was one-sided, really, one round. All the other ones we were fighting and scrapping for our wins. Let's talk about this list, because I have some severe thoughts. I do not think this is a good version of the Pinnacle Stompy deck. Now, the reason I think this is because we had so many hands that got jammed up by stuff that was hard to cast, like Thought Monitor and Broadside Bombardiers, and these were just kind of sat in our hands sometimes, and sometimes Palantir was doing that as well, and we just couldn't really have hands that worked. Whereas if you look at the list that won Eternal Weekend Europe, that list was way lower to the ground. Now, it did have 4 Kappa Cannoneers in it, but instead of running these clunky 7-drops that we sometimes can't even cast, and like these 3-drops that aren't in our colour and sometimes become a little bit difficult to cast, it has Patchwork Automaton, which is a difficult threat for people to deal with because of its protection. It comes down on turn 1, so your turn 1 hand can include there's more keepable hands in the other build, because you end up with Ancient Tomb, Patchwork Automaton, and Zeros is a great hand, or Coloured Source, Emissary, and a bunch of Zeros is a great hand. And that list also had more Urza's Baubles in it, so had more stuff to make this work. Like this Thought Monitor and this Kappa Cannoneer want us to have more Baubles, but we don't have them so that it can fit in the Thought Monitors. It's kind of like a weird self-defeating problem there. Also, the Palantir is not a card that I think is legacy playable, really. It once was reasonable, but I just don't think it's fast enough now to really get things done. And we saw how against any Bowmaster deck it's a nightmare, and the most popular deck in the format is a Bowmaster deck, and it's about 11% of the field. So if you're playing a tournament, you're going to run into Bowmasters a few times, and this is going to probably cost you games. And I'd rather just have, more baubles to get the engine going, because if you don't start things off going, then you never really get anywhere. This is kind of like a momentum deck. And because it's a stompy deck, you want to be stomping, and we don't really have the stompy power that I kind of want from this. We're trying to play like this slightly slower game, but we don't have all the tools. Like, there's no main deck Aether Spellbomb, which can be a really useful tool. It just feels a little bit awkward for us. I think whilst you can have some really fun and splashy times with Broadside Bombardiers, like the time we got to throw the Thought Monitor, that was cool. And there was another time we got to throw like a few leftover Zeros or like a Chalice we didn't need for a little bit of damage, and that was fine too. But I don't think it's worth doing this to your deck and making it less reliable. When I like to play a deck, I want to raise the floor, not the ceiling usually. And I think this deck has tried to raise the ceiling at the cost of lowering the floor. Because like, if your things line up, you can still do all the cool stuff that the other builds do. And you've got this extra spice of maybe being able to Bombardiers people or grind a bunch of card advantage with Thought Monitor. That's pretty cool. But I think the cost is there's going to be so many games where you get hands that are bad, You have less keepable hands. You're easier to disrupt because they can collapse your mana much better. If your opponent tries to collapse the mana in the Patchwork build, they're still getting beaten in the face for like 4 or 5 damage a turn from your guy. And it just seems like that's what the deck should be doing, in my opinion. I can't remember how I think we went 4-1 with the list, and I know other people have just picked it up for making content and just bashed out 5-0s with it. The deck is obviously very strong. I just think it's better than what this is trying to do. I can understand wanting Thought Monitors, but I just don't think we get to run like Thought Monitors and this and this. This is like, what, 8 slots I think we could be using better. So that's 4 patches, 2 Baubles, maybe another Kappa Cannoneer, and an Aether Spellbomb in the main. I think that's probably just changing the deck quite a lot, but I think it's the way it probably needs to go. Also, you could have like a piece of Graveyard Hate in the main deck as one of your targets for your Pithing Needle. That is another option I think is pretty reasonable too. So all in all, I think this deck is fine for what it is, but you're trying to play some fun cards and squeeze in some stuff that could be really fun and splashy instead of just getting a really reliable deck that's going to beat face, which is where I think the Pinnacle Stompy decks really want to be, and they thrive in that sort of area. Alright, thank you so much for watching. If you need any cards for this deck, there's like no reserve list cards in this deck, so it's quite a good one to pick up. Check out my sponsors 3-for-1 Trading. They've got a really deep selection of stock, and everyone who's used them has told me that they've been really good, so that's always nice to see. And yeah, so get some cards from them, like, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.